Good evening and welcome to the regular meeting of the Worcester City Council held this Monday, May 15th, 2023. We are in council chambers and live streamed on YouTube. It's after 7:30 p.m. The next meeting will be Monday, June 5th, 2023. Mr. Paulo, would you please call the roll?
Mr. Cavan?
Here.
Mr. Myers?
Here.
Mr. Reynolds?
Here.
Mr. Sanders?
Here.
Mr. Ansel?
Here.
Ms. Warden?
Here.
And Ms. Knappich is absent.
Yes, she had notified us she would not be here. And despite her absence, we do have a quorum. I should point out the agenda will be adjusted to accommodate an executive session at the end of new business. And at this time, I would ask you to stand and join the council in reciting the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
The first and second grade.
I look for a motion to approve the minutes of the May 1st, 2023 meeting.
So moved.
Motion to approve by Mr. Sanders. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Warden. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, say nay. The minutes of May 1st, 2023 have been approved. Welcome, Mayor, and look forward to your remarks this evening.
Thank you, President Feindike, and council members, thank you. Great, for that helps. Nice to see everybody tonight on a beautiful Monday afternoon here. So, Mayor's report today is the city held 2 listening and learning events on our comprehensive plan update this last Thursday, May 11th. One from 11:30 a.m. to 1 p.m. at the Wooster Community Center, and the second from 5 to 7 p.m. at Spoon Market and Deli. These were to help the public understand and ask questions and comments on our comprehensive plan update happening this year. The community center venue went fairly well, and was fairly well attended, with the Spoon venue a little less so. The community survey is still available to make your thoughts and comments known. It is found on the front page of the city website at worceroh.com and clicking Take the Community Survey. That'll be live for probably a number of weeks yet moving forward, but it will shut down at some point because they'll be compiling numbers and putting the survey results together. Fire station number 1 is in its last day of operation out of its current building. Our FD team has moved Station 1 operations out to a utility building adjacent to our PPM facility and on Mechanicsburg Road. Tomorrow, a pre-bid inspection will be available to anyone interested in touring the Station 1 building for preparing a bid document to remodel Station 1, due in by June 6, 2023 before noon. Our city transit buses are changing starting this Saturday, May 20th. Share Mobility, working for Community Action, will replace Wooster Transit as the transportation vendor for Wooster. The change should be seamless, and the people in the community should continue contacting for bus ride exactly as they have been for many years. The vehicles will look different, but the same service will apply, or actually better, we hope. A lot of milling and paving projects have started and will continue throughout the summer, and the Dix Expressway and Melrose Drive reconstruction are all back at full go. We're sorry for the inconvenience, but these will all mean better travel when they're done. I'll ask Jonathan, we just got some late news coming in, and he would like to share and tell everyone about it. So Jonathan?
Great, good evening everybody. Just a quick update. Wanted to share that our partners at the Ohio Department of Transportation, specifically Ohio Department of Transportation Jobs and Commerce, has shared with us the opportunity to receive a $55,000 grant, so that is something we've received authorization for and look forward to moving forward with. This will help replace the intersection, intersection signaling system at the off-ramp and on-ramp to the Dix Expressway in front of Gojo Industries. And this will actually help the company, specifically as that is also the main entrance to their facility, as they are planning some ongoing growth and investment at that site. So just wanted to share and say a thank you to Jobs and Commerce for their continued support.
Thank you, Jonathan. And Jonathan is very humble, but he does a lot of number crunching and paper filling out to make these grants happen. So our thanks to Jonathan for all your hard work in bringing that about. But yeah, that's a nice touch when we can bring $55,000 of outside monies back into the community. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Joel to talk about our economic development strategic plan by business flair, electric scooter information, and other information he wants to share with council. Joel?
Thanks, Bob. I would just like to add that some of that grant for that particular project came out of a meeting. We had a meeting together with WDC and the county and sat down and talked about economic development projects and what would fit, the various programs. And so this is one of the projects that came out of that collaborative meeting that we had. So that Jonathan did a lot of legwork, but it definitely was a collaborative effort to see where we could find some money to bring back to the community there. On the transit and share mobility, just wanted to figure out a little bit more information. There were 2 public meetings held today, one at the College of Wooster and one at the library. That I attended both of those, about 15 to 20 people each, to reach out to the community, let them know what was going on. I know I've shared some information with council, just to let you know. The change from Worcester Transit as one of the vendors with the Community Action Program, that we have a contract with them. The change from Worcester Transit to Share Mobility wasn't something that we, the city, or Community Action initiated. That's something we were responding to when we found out that Worcester Transit was going to cease operation. So I just want to make that clear. And Share Mobility is simply taking over the bus route loops that currently, right now, that Worcester Transit used to, or is, doing until Saturday. So just so it's not a change to the rest of the program. Community Action's transportation program that we contract with, they have lots of providers, things for veterans and those with disability, low to moderate income, handicap. So all of that is still going to function. The Taxi Pass program is still going to function just like it has been. So this is just a different entity handling the loop. One of the things they do is software and dispatching software and logistics software just for transportation. So they've already been able to look at ways to really streamline that loop. So it will be a 1-hour loop with pretty much the same loop. It will be missing some of the stops. Anywhere there was a less than, say, 20 to 100 stops a year. So those are the ones that fell out, and so but they would try to consolidate with some other stops. So obviously not all the stops, not everybody's going to be happy, but for the most part it's the same loop, most of the same stops. They had to make some adjustments where there just was no ridership on a couple of those stops. And that's, we'll tweak that as needed. But got a lot of confidence in Shared Mobility. They're a company out of Columbus, but they are in Dublin, Hilliard, Coshocton, Cuyahoga, Crowning, Moraine, several other areas. Our main contact actually grew up in Jeromesville, went to Hillsdale High School, went to Ashland U, and still has a sister that lives here and works here in town. So he's very dedicated to making this successful. So just wanted to share that. Things are going real well. We're making up the signs, so it's a little quicker than we wanted, but things are rolling out pretty well right now.
Joel, if I could ask one quick question, what will the cost be for residents to ride who don't qualify for the free pass on this system?
There's no change in that, so it's the same as it is now.
And what is it now? I'm sorry, I don't know.
I think it's $2 or $2.50.
Okay,
Right, I think so is the cost of that.
thank you.
The one difference will be they won't accept cash anymore. So just like Wayne County Transit is in town and around town, they don't accept cash either. So you have to use the app to get a pass.
Oh, okay.
But other than that, we'll see how it goes, we'll tweak it, but so far, things have been going fairly smooth. You probably saw some scooters show up this weekend. I think there's some people here that will speak to that during miscellaneous at the end. You remember this came up a couple years ago, and so I put at each of your places a summary that we prepared at that time. So that's two-sided on there, just what the law is and what options are. And we can talk about that later. I just wanted to give you that for now, so that you have that. Like I said, I assume we'll talk about that at a subsequent meeting at some point. One thing, back to the share mobility, one of their investors is Jobs Ohio. So that, just so you know, there's a little bit of stability there, and that the state thought well enough of them to help provide for them. They've been in business for about 7 years. So. The last thing that I had that I wanted to talk about was to make a request. I mentioned something to Mr. Sanders about, we've been talking about our economic development strategic plan for quite a while, since last year. They have completed a report on economic drivers and conditions, and then they've also almost completed, final draft form, the summary of that document. We have been sharing just a high level with our partners, WC, Main Street, the Chamber, and we told them we'll be meeting with them over the summer here to talk about that, how we can tweak things, and whose roles, who can do which roles, cover the gaps, those kind of things. But we did tell each of our partners that we would like to present that to council first, which we told them they'd be welcome to come as we present that and answer a few questions. So the request would be a committee meeting June 19th is the last meeting in June?
June 19th.
June,
that's right. 20th, yeah.
I'm sorry, June
Yep.
20th. So I did mention that to Mr. Sanders, just if that would work, that would be the request we have, just to present that information and answer questions. Our anticipation would be, after meeting with all the partners, that final draft would get tweaked based on meeting together and discussing, who is best at which roles, and where there's overlap and where there's gaps and those kinds of things. So.
And that's our report here tonight. Thank you, President Biden.
All right, thank you, Mayor and staff. We have no petitions and no one signed up to talk about agenda items. And there are no committee reports nor public hearings. Brings us to item 6, unfinished business. It's the second reading of ordinance number 2023-17. It will be presented by Mr. Reynolds. Mr. Paulo, would you please read the title?
Ordinance number 2023-17, an ordinance amending Chapter 1107.05, District-Specific Purpose Statements and Regulations.
Mr. Reynolds, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. President. Again, to recap our previous discussions on this dates back to our decision, or this council's decision in 2018 to eliminate the expansion of mobile home parks. And at that time, as part of that, we took out the regulatory language in Chapter 1107 about the development. Well, 3 months ago, we went back and changed that to allow the development of existing R5 properties for mobile homes. And now this kind of is the last step of that, of building back in the regulatory language for development. So this is the second reading on this. I've had zero feedback from anyone, including the parties that were interested before. 3 months ago, when we talked quite a bit about mobile home parks, I just informally checked with Mr. Sanders before. He's not heard anything either. I don't know if anybody else has had any response from the public or any interested parties on this, but barring that, I would move to suspend the rules and move this to third and final reading.
Okay, motion to suspend the rules by Mr. Reynolds. Is there a second?
Second?
Second by Ms. Warden. Mr. Paulo, would you please call the roll on the suspension of the rules?
Myers?
Yes.
Sanders?
Yes.
Ansel.
Yes.
Warden,
Yes.
Reynolds,
Yes.
and Cavan.
Yes.
Rules have been suspended. Mr. Reynolds, do you have another motion?
I do, Mr. President. I would move for the adoption of ordinance number 2023-17.
And I would second that motion.
Motion to adopt by Mr. Reynolds, second by Mr. Ansel. Any discussion? Seeing none, would you please call the roll on the motion to adopt?
Myers,
Yes.
Sanders,
Yes.
Ansel.
Yes.
Warden,
Yes.
Reynolds,
Yes.
and Cavan.
Yes.
Ordinance number 2023-17 passes. Look at ordinance number 2023-18. It'll be on its second reading as well, and it'll be presented by Mr. Reynolds. Mr. Paulo, would you please read the title?
Ordinance number 2023-18, an ordinance amending Chapter 1351.04, amendments of the codified ordinances of the City of Worcester.
Again, Mr. Reynolds, I turn the floor over to you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. President. This again is related to the February action to allow development in mobile home parks that exist currently are 5 districts, and also addresses a concern that came up during the course of those discussions about our ability to regulate or enforce the zoning code with regards to the mobile homes themselves. And this has been presented by the administration as an effort to do this. There is a caveat built into it in that we are somewhat restricted in how far we can go based on preemption by federal and state law. But to the extent that we can regulate this mobile home parks, our mobile homes themselves, we believe that this accomplishes that. Just like the previous piece of legislation, I've heard nothing from anyone in the last 2 weeks, and I would move to suspend the rules and move this to third and final.
Motion to suspend the rules by Mr. Reynolds. Is there a second?
Second?
Second by Ms. Warden. Mr. Paulo, would you please call the roll on the motion to suspend the rules?
Myers,
No.
Sanders,
Yes.
Ansel,
Yes.
Warden,
Yes.
Reynolds,
Yes.
Cavan.
Yes.
We don't, do we have enough to suspend the rules with absent council person and,
You need 3/5.
yeah, yeah, I think it's 3/5.
Gotta get the calculator out.
I think it takes,
5. Well, 4.5.
well, they do have 5.
Yeah, we got 5.
We got 5.
Yeah, 50%.
Yeah, we got 5 out of 7.
I don't remember what the number is.
60. Yeah, that would be 3/5, 60% times 7 is 4.2, which would be 5. I think you only need,
We're all gonna find something out here today.
Take off your shoes.
Suspend for 3/4 of the numbers.
3/4. That's 75%. So,
I think we're okay.
No.
no,
You need 6. Yeah, you need, it's 5.25. Yep. Yeah.
so at the moment, we will consider that motion to have not passed for failing to meet the 3/4 majority required. Therefore, we'll consider it on second reading. Does anyone have any further comments?
Mr. Reynolds, I just would like some more information on what all we're trying to enforce. The administration was pretty clear on, we had no enforcement capabilities, and they've made that over and over and over again, and now it seems like they're trying to come up with some. So I just kind of want a little bit more understanding of what all we're trying to enforce. Specifically, this doesn't cover the specifics, so hopefully I'll get a little bit of that information over the following next week or two, and we can pass it at that time.
Yeah, I guess for,
So I think that Councilman Reynolds accurately described what we're trying to do here. Mr. Myers, you did ask me about this prior to the meeting, and I apologize that I wasn't hitting my head right then exactly what this was, but when I went back and looked at it sitting here. So what we're doing is we're actually amending our adopted version of the property maintenance code. So we adopt that, and it's a model code. What this does is it adopts certain sections of it. All it really does is the majority of that paragraph that you're reading is already present in our adopted version of the property maintenance code. The only thing that's really added are the manufactured homes. As we have argued in the past, and as Mr. Reynolds stated today, applying the property maintenance code to them is difficult, and the building codes to them is difficult. What we're going to do our best to do is apply where we can apply, and to the extent allowed by law. So there's certain things we can regulate and certain things we can't. We're going to try to regulate as many of them as we possibly can. It's not going to be foolproof. There will be places where we're preempted, like Mr. Reynolds said. But we're going to do the best that we can in order to protect the people living in those parks as much as we possibly can, and the rest of the community. So that's the best answer I can give you.
Okay, appreciate that. We're going to protect them from carports.
We're going to protect them from anything that we would do for all the rest of our citizens as much as we possibly can.
Yeah.
And that would be any property maintenance violations, so.
Like carports, because that's against the code.
All right.
So you're going to make the people that have them remove them? Because there's quite a few currently in R5s.
They would have already probably previously had them, so I don't think we're going to go and make them remove them.
A carport's not a property maintenance issue, that's a zoning issue. So
During the planning commission meeting, you called that out as a violation from our inspections.
it would have been, had we had been able to apply the zoning as it exists for every other zoning in the city,
Okay.
so.
And Mr. Myers, if you want to talk more about it, I'll be happy to talk with you about it. Okay.
Thanks.
Okay, we will have considered ordinance number 2023-18 as having its second reading. Resolution number 2023-32. This will be presented by Mr. Myers. It's on second reading. Before we get to you, Mr. Myers, Mr. Paula, would you please?
Resolution number 2023-32, a resolution accepting the recommendations of the Worcester Tax Incentive Review Council with respect to existing enterprise zone agreements, community reinvestment area agreements, and tax increment financing projects.
Mr. Myers, the floor is yours, sir.
Excuse me, Mr. President, I need to recuse myself of this legislation.
Okay,
So do I. Thank you.
good luck passing this on second.
Can I make a motion to pass this? We
We
could go through the motions of it? No.
All right,
So
so the floor is yours.
I believe we'll be leaving this on second reading for this evening, and we'll be reconsidering it at our next session.
Yep, sounds good. So,
You can come back now.
so let the record reflect that Ms. Warden and Mr. Sanders are rejoining council. And our last piece of legislation under unfinished business is resolution number 2023-33. It'll be presented by Mr. Reynolds. Again, this one's also on second reading. Before I get back to you, Mr. Reynolds, Mr. Paulo, would you please read the title?
Resolution number 2023-33, a resolution petitioning the Board of County Commissioners of Wayne County, Ohio, for a change of township lines to conform with the corporation limits of the city of Worcester and allowing for immediate enactment.
Mr. Reynolds, the floor is yours again.
thank you, Mr. President. Fellow council members, at the April 17th meeting this year, we voted to approve the annexation of a tract of 32.24 acres on Melrose Drive. That process has now been completed, and we need to take the final chapter of that process and ask the county commissioners to amend the description of the corporate boundaries of the city of Worcester to take into account that additional acreage. It may seem kind of clerical, but if we fail to do that, apparently we end up with property being subject to taxation by separate entities, property being in different voting districts. So it creates a great deal of confusion bureaucratically if we don't take this action. And I will again attempt to move to suspend the rules and move to this to third and final reading, because I think, have the notices gone out yet?
Notices have, but they are specific to our next meeting. I apologize.
So we will not be making that motion. And if anybody has any questions between now and the next meeting, please let me know.
All right, we'll consider resolution number 2023-33 as having its second reading. Turning to new business, resolution number 2023-34, it'll be presented by Mr. Ansel. Before I get to Mr. Ansel, I will ask once again if Ms. DiPaola would please read the title.
Resolution number 2023-34, a resolution authorizing all actions necessary to effect a governmental electricity aggregation program with opt-out provisions pursuant to Section 4928.20 of the Ohio Revised Code, directing the Wayne County Board of Elections to submit a ballot question to the electors.
Thank you. Mr. Ansel, the floor is yours.
Yes, the timing and relevance associated with the next two resolutions really is exceptional. One of the largest consumer concerns now in our community and state and nationally is the increasing cost of utilities, specifically electricity and natural gas. We have in the past looked at aggregation programs, and aggregation is simply an economies of scale concept where we would bundle all of the consumption within our region, specifically our city, and allow a third-party aggregator to go out and negotiate volume discounts for the consumer. It drives costs down. We've looked at it in the past, and as we all know, our utility costs have been very, very reasonably controlled over the last couple of decades. Well, that's all coming to a change right now. So we've taken a re-review of this proposed initiative, both on the electricity side, on kilowatt hours, and on MCF, on the natural gas, which is the next piece of supporting legislation. And it is a dubious and complicated process. First and foremost is finding the aggregator, the third party that has the level of confidence and experience on putting together aggregation programs that reduce utility cost. The largest one in the state, or one of the most reputable and largest, well-known in the state, that is endorsed by the Ohio Municipal League Service Corporation, and most recently was adopted at the county level to accomplish the same things that we'll be trying to accomplish as a community, to allow them to negotiate based on our consumption demand totals and see what lower level index they'll be able to provide our community. It is not an easy process conceptually. I think we all grasp it, but there are many thresholds, public hearings, dates, public review, input, and it has to be a balloted item for the citizens to vote on in the August election to decide whether the city will proceed with the aggregation initiative and allow the third party to proceed. And Mr. Montgomery put together a very thorough summary for council that talked about the pre-ballot process as well as the post-ballot process. The beautiful thing about this initiative, not only its track record of cost reduction for the consumer, but it also has an opt-out provision. So if we decide to proceed with this, and as a resident, for whatever reason, you're not comfortable with the program, you can opt out, lose the economy of scale discounts derived from the program, and purchase your electricity and natural gas the same way you're doing it today. So there is no harm, there is no foul in this. But what is government aggregation? These are some of the most frequently asked questions. It's a governmental aggregation process for large group consumers to reduce monies for their electric bills or natural gas. Simple concept. Then it talks about the counties and communities and the cities involved with this process. And right now, I have to tell you, there's significant momentum in this arena because everyone is anticipating significant price hikes end of the year and early next year and ongoing. But the government aggregation program does have to be placed on the ballot. It's going to be a voter issue. All we do as council is approve the allowance or the permission for it to be placed on the ballot, and the voters, the citizens of Wooster, will make the final decision. That's the beauty of it. So we're at that point right now, and we have to have council recommendation because the administration has a lot of work, as Joel has outlined, aligning meetings as May 15th now, then the third reading. We're going to keep this on first reading this evening. It'll go through the full 3 readings. June 20th will the final vote, but then it goes all the way through to a public meeting in October for the November election for committee council meetings, on the October 2nd and then October 16th. So we're going to have this topic before us in several venues to allow public review, scrutiny, and most important, public education. To understand the program, but the presentation given, first of all, compliments to the city administration and the county and other cities around our region that have identified a very accredited and long-term established third party. That's a very difficult process because, as we all can imagine, there are a lot of aggregators starting to come to the forefront right now because they realize this tsunami of demand that don't have near the experience, the 40 years experience that is provided by the vetted, the Ohio Municipal League endorsed third party. That's significant. So we're at that point in time. I wanted to give that brief explanation. The next resolution is going to be a mere type of resolution, except this one is for electrical aggregation. The next one is for natural gas aggregation. 2 different animals. The beautiful thing about the aggregation process is based on the volume level discounts derived from our aggregated demand, the transmission is all static. You know, that's going to be AEP or the gas company for the transmission, but the materials, the power being sold for the transmission is what fluctuates, anticipated going up, and hopefully we can diminish that increase as we enter the latter part of this year and early next year. So thank you for that opportunity to give the explanation. Did I miss anything, Mr. Montgomery, in terms of the process? And again, I'm not going to bore the viewers and the public because this is a roadmap that he provided very clear direction in terms of what we have to do and how we have to do it.
The only thing, you had mentioned a lot of public outreach, so the one thing we were going to request is a public meeting before council meeting on June 5th. And that would just, right before second reading, give an opportunity for people to come in, ask questions.
Let's
And
do
we
it.
could have Palmer Energy here to also.
June
do the public
5th,
and-
Public Utilities Committee meeting at 6:30 in council chambers. Thank you, Joel.
Okay, we'll consider resolution number 2023-34. I guess we're lucky we don't have First Energy. I guess they are discovering their money didn't go as far with our former Speaker of the House, Mr. Householder, as they thought it would go, who was soon to find out that orange is another shade, new shade of black, I think. So, anyways, that's my opinion. It doesn't necessarily reflect the rest of council. And we turn to resolution number 2023-25. It'll be presented by Mr. Ansel. As he noted, these are three reading resolutions. Before I get back to you, Mr. Ansel, Mr. Paulo, would you please read the title?
Resolution number 2023-35. A resolution authorizing all actions necessary to effect a governmental natural gas aggregation program with opt-out provisions pursuant to Section 4929.26 of the Ohio Revised Code, directing the Wayne County Board of Elections to submit a ballot question to the electors.
Mr. Ansel, the floor is yours again.
Albeit a bit different of a program, the process, the procedures are the same as the electrical aggregation, except this pertains to natural gas aggregation. So you heard the summary. The timelines remain intact. Again, one of the aggregation is for electricity, one is for natural gas. It's the same model, the same program. Cost variance will be different because different escalators within the two consumables, but we get the drift of what we're trying to accomplish here. So with that, we'll keep that on first reading this evening.
Okay, resolution number 2023-35 has had its first reading. That brings us to resolution number 2023-36. It'll be presented by Mr. Sanders, and this is slated for 3 readings. Before I get to you, Mr. Sanders, I turn to Mr. Paulo again and ask her to please read the title.
Resolution number 2023-36. A resolution providing for the annual tax budget for fiscal year beginning January 1st, 2024.
Mr. Sanders, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. President. Per the Ohio Revised Code, Section 5705.28, the City of Wooster is required to adopt an annual tax budget for the next succeeding fiscal year on or before July 15th, 2023. The tax budget is a financial plan for the operations of the city for the next calendar year in 2024. It identifies how much money is expected from local, state, and federal sources, the anticipated carryover fund balance, and how much is needed to carry out city government functions in the next year. The County Budget Commission will set our property tax rates based on this, which in theory should not change. So at this point this evening, this will be considered the first reading for this evening. We will be having a public hearing related to this, to the tax budget on Monday, June 5th, here in City Council. And then we will, in theory, be having our last reading of this on the 20th of June. So at this point in time, that's where we are with this. Did you have anything you wanted to add, Mr. Doherty, or you'll just?
That was it. That was right on, spot on.
Okay. All right, well.
Are we going to need a public hearing on this, too?
Yes.
We're going to get,
It's on the 5th, 5th of
Yeah,
June.
yeah,
Our
so-
public hearing.
yeah, so we've only.
Yeah, but those are very brief. I mean, they're just an announcement, a public hearing, so.
Right. I'm just. Right. Yeah, we have a lot of, going to have a lot of unfinished business. We're going to have a lot of committee meetings, and we got, after this, only 2 more meetings before our hiatus for the months of July and August, so.
Let's be very, very brief.
Okay. Well, I know you like brief, so I don't have worries with you. So anyways. So we'll consider resolution number 2023-36 as having its first reading. That brings us to ordinance 2023-19. It'll be presented by Mr. Reynolds. This is slated for 3 readings. Before I get back to you, Mr. Reynolds, Mr. Paulo, would you please read the title?
Ordinance number 2023-19, an ordinance amending Chapter 303.08, impounding of vehicles, redemption of the codified ordinances of the City of Wooster, Ohio, and allowing for immediate enactment.
Mr. Reynolds, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Bidendike. Mr. Scavelli, do you have some insights on this you can provide us with?
I do, thank you, Mr. Reynolds. What we're looking to do here is, currently, we can impound vehicles if they're in the way of street cleaning or snow removal operations. We have a problem that happens, my understanding is every year, where there's construction that needs to be done and there are cars that still parked there, and we are unable to get them moved.
Microphone.
Okay, there we go. So what we do in that situation is normally we would contact the owners, ask them to move. Matter of fact, I do not believe that, talking with the police chief, that we have actually impounded any vehicles recently. The problem is that since we moved to a civil parking ticket system, we can't really look them up in Leeds anymore. So what this allows us to do is this allows us to find it in Leeds, contact those individuals. If they do refuse to remove their car, we can remove it. But that's really the last option for us in most cases. Most of the time we notify them and they'll move it voluntarily rather than have the car impounded. And we give them notice. And we'll have notice on those streets telling them they can't park there and that their car will be subject to impoundment. Any questions?
So if you look at the statute itself, it just expands 303.08 to add an additional circumstance under which impounding of vehicles would be authorized. So with that as a preface, I would make a motion to suspend the rules and move this to third and final reading.
Second that motion.
All right, motion to suspend the rules by Mr. Reynolds, second by Mr. Ansel. Mr. Paulo, would you please call the roll on the motion to suspend the rules?
Cavan,
Yes.
Myers,
Yes.
Sanders,
Yes.
Ansel.
Yes.
Warden,
Yes.
and Reynolds.
Yes.
Rules have been suspended. Mr. Reynolds, another motion?
Thank you, Mr. President. I would move for the adoption of ordinance number 2023-19.
Motion to adopt by Mr. Reynolds. Is there a second?
Second.
I heard Ms. Warden's voice. My wife claims I don't hear the female voice, but I heard your voice first there, Ms. Warden. Any further discussion? It sounds like we're doing actually a service for the, by enacting this for the citizens or anyone else parking when we have bad weather. Seeing nothing further, would you please call the roll on the motion to adopt?
Cavan,
Yes.
Myers.
Yes.
Sanders,
Yes.
Ansel.
Yes.
Warden,
Yes.
and Reynolds.
Yes.
Ordinance number 2023-19 passes. There's been a request by the administration to go into executive session as provided under RC 121.22G1 regarding personnel matters. So I would need a motion.
So moved.
Second, motion by Mr. Sanders, and did I hear Mr. Myers second it?
Yes.
Mr. Myers seconded. This requires a roll call vote to go into executive session.
Cavan,
Yes.
Myers,
Yes.
Sanders.
Yes.
Ansel.
Yes.
Warden,
Yes.
Reynolds.
Yes.
That's it.
Well, the motion passes, so we are officially going into executive session and are now off the record. All right, before we can come back on the record, someone has to move to come out of executive session.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Ansel to come out of executive session.
Second.
Second by Mr. Myers. Would you please call the roll on the motion to come out of executive session?
Cavan,
Yes.
Myers.
Yes.
Reynolds,
Yes.
Sanders.
Yes.
Ansel.
Yes.
And Warden.
Yes.
All right, we are now officially out of executive session, and now everything we say herein will be on the record. We'll go immediately into miscellaneous, the public portion. There's several people that have signed up. I see. The first individual is a Ms. Bowles. If he would come up front. Make sure the microphone's on. Mr. Scavelli will help you with that. And please state your name and address, and it's hard to miss, but you are limited to 2 minutes.
Okay, that's fine. My name is Tamika Bowles, and I am at 3783 Friendsville Road in Worcester. I am fairly new, and I'm just coming forth right now to let you know about a water drive that we're having here in Worcester on June 3rd, on 2023, from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. We have partnered alongside the NAACP of the Wooster Orville chapter, as well as the Trinity United Church of Christ. And we are under the Worldwide Fellowship of Independent Christian Churches, which is under Reverend Dr. Everett Cardwell, who is the Archbishop as well of the Worldwide Fellowship of Independent Christian Churches. We are 200 churches, about 40,000 people, and we just wanted to come and officially let the council women and men know about what's going on in the city. We wanted to be very respectful and let you all know, as well as the public. We would like you to come out and support. We're looking for any water donations that you can give would be greatly appreciated. Any help that you can give would just actually helping with loading water would be great. Just anything you could do would just be wonderful. So I just wanted to take the time to let you all officially know what we will be doing, and I look forward to your support.
I have a question.
Yes.
So the drop point is at the Worcester Walmart,
Yes,
and the intent is you're gonna have a tractor trailer there
We're
to
gonna-
unload all the donated water.
yes, we're gonna actually
What if you
have
get
a
3
bus as
truckloads?
Well, we have a bus as well, and we also have someone else that's bringing a trailer as well. So Walmart has also allowed us to be able to advertise as well on their website as well. So we're all kind of partnering together. I also contacted the superintendent as well of the school system of Worcester, and they have as well decided to help as well. So
Great.
I'm looking forward to it. So
Well,
I
I
just wanted to let
see
you know.
you take donations.
Yes,
If
we do.
someone wanted to write a check, who would they
Yes.
make it out to?
Worldwide Fellowship of Independent Christian Churches is who we
You
make
think you
it out
could
to.
make that title a little longer?
You're right about that.
So that's who we would make it out?
Yes, yes.
And would we put in the memo for?
Yep, just say for water drive
Water
for the
drive.
East Palestine, yep,
Okay.
yep. So
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you,
Thank
Ms.
you.
Bowles. Now, we have 2 people who have signed up whose last names are absent, so if you plan to speak, we're going to want your first and last names and your address, and are you speaking individually, or are you
we're
going
partners.
as a duo?
Yeah, it's that deal. We didn't know we needed to put him.
So, yeah, and if you each chose to speak individually, you'd have 4 minutes. If you plan to speak together, you're going to be limited to 2 minutes, so
All
your
right.
choice.
I'm Ramel Lee, and this is Chambrielle Moore. We partner. We have a private company called Boot Scoot and Boogie. We operate.
And would you state your address, please?
Oh, 553 North Buckeye Street. I'm actually local. So we started, a small scooter company. It's called Boot Scoot and Boogie. We use the Peel app. You've probably seen them around town. We kind of just wanted to come, to see if you guys can reconsider, possibly putting scooters out. Everybody loves them. We got, 80?
We launched them actually Saturday. In less than 24 hours, we had 71 people sign up. In less than 48 hours, we had 81 rides. So far, we've had really good reviews. We've had Wooster reach out and had a blog for us. If you guys are concerned about them being left, we also have a geoforce, which we can put around, like a perimeter around it, so people won't be leaving them everywhere and just randomly places.
Pretty much, we can restrict.
We can restrict the zone, so, and us being local and always, we have to change the batteries every day. So we will be always on them and stuff like that, day and night. So making sure that they are not just left randomly. They also have trackers, so we, double trackers, we put double trackers on them. So we have ways to find them. And so far, we've had really good reviews on them.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, that brings us to council portion of miscellaneous. And we'll start out with Mr. Sanders
I have nothing to add this evening, Mr. President.
and Mr. Cavan
Nothing to add either, thank you.
and Mr. Reynolds.
And I'll look to Chief Fisher for any additions to this, if necessary, but I saw that the Worcester Police Department is sponsoring a community walk Saturday morning. And I guess I'd encourage everyone to support this if they can. It's at the Worcester High School track, starting at 9 a.m.
Yep.
And it's to recognize and honor the officers who sacrificed their lives in 2022. And I guess nationwide, that figure was 245 officers.
Correct.
Anything I should add to that?
Thank you. You hit all the high points, Mr. Reynolds.
I see, so in addition to walking off some, winter weight, they have Lurch's Donuts that are going to be available there. So you can put them right back on.
You buried the lead, dude. Come on, let's start with Lurch's is gonna be there, and there's gonna be this walk thing.
Yeah. That's all I've got. Thank you.
Mr. Myers,
I have nothing further, thank you.
Ms. Ward.
I just wanted to thank the folks who did come out to the public meetings that were held last week for the comprehensive plan. I wasn't able to attend the first meeting that day, but was at Spoon Market and had a couple of really nice conversations with residents who showed up to share their opinions, and hopefully our partners at OHM were able to collect quite a lot of useful information. I would also hope that there will be another future opportunity for public input down the line. I know it's a long process and it's hard to get people to actually show up, especially when the weather's nice and they want to be outside and working in their yards. But yeah, thank you all for coming out and giving your 2 cents.
And Mr. Ansel.
Nothing to add, Mr. President. Motion to adjourn.
Motion adjourned by Mr. Ansel. Is there a second? Second by Mr. Myers. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
We're adjourned.